about boys and ghouls. It's time for Tales from the Pit.
It's pretty bright. Yeah. Hello, Count Scapula from Dead Alive, and I'm burning some firewood and some cardboard right now, and I thought I would do kind of like a reflection over the last couple of years. Dead Alive, we've been playing live for 3 now, but it's been a project that I've been working on for 10 years. So I thought I'd just kind of reflect on 10 years of working on a band project. So back in 2015, I was, just getting out of high school, and I had met these guys at a Steak and Shake of all places, that we were doing like a rock band kind of like project, spikes, vests, kind of alternative rock, 3 Days Grace kind of vibe. Not really my thing, but I didn't know any other people that were playing music at the time. Listened to the demo EP that they had given me from a CD that was in their car. So we were at Steak and Shake. They gave me the CD of their EP, and I listened to it and it sucked. And I was texting the guy, and I'm like, kind of critiquing it like constructively. And I mentioned, he's like, hey, I play guitar, and I was invited to jam with them. And I go over and I, ask what key the songs are in, and these guys didn't know what a key was. And, we're jamming. I'm trying to like follow along to whatever they were playing. And I joined my first band. And that summer we played a couple gigs, and I got the bug, keep playing live music. Now I already had like a background doing like theater and stage stuff in like high school, and I always liked performing. It was all to entertain people, So I joined my first band on guitar, and actually I started on bass, funny enough. Frontman, he was on guitar. And this is also the band I met Man-Thing in, Connor. He was the other guitar player, and that was a blast of just hanging out with these guys. The front man, he had this '79 Trans Am that we would just drive around everywhere in and just kind of like hang out and have a good time, Sonic, ice cream, and just hanging, having fun. That summer, I, played some shows with them. I would swap from guitar and bass back and forth, and we recorded the first song that I ever wrote, and that got released on the album that they were working on that October. But the entire time I was like, this isn't really what I wanted to do, like musically. I was having a good time, I was hanging out, but I wanted to do something that was like metal, Me and Connor were the metalheads of that group. The other guys were more like, hard rock kind of people. And I was like, hey Connor, let's do like our own like thing. And I ended up going to college, so I had to kind of like leave the band, but I would come back to play like shows every now and then when I could. That's when we first started working on what would become Dead Alive. It was me and Connor. We wanted to do some old school like thrash metal stuff, and early on it was what's the idea, right? And I've never really considered myself to be that much of a main character kind of guy. I was always like, I'll be bass player, I'll be rhythm guitar guy. Other people have more popularity than I do. and you know, I know my place in this. But with this little project with Connor and I, there wasn't like there was no direction creatively, and so I took note from some words of wisdom that I heard is like, you do what you know. And at that time, what I knew was metal, the genre, all the subgenre kind of stuff. And I knew horror. Horror was always something that was really big for me. Let's try to get this going again. Oh no. Eagle Scout fail. Horror was always something that was really important to me. And I always thought that zombies were kind of getting overrated at that time. Now this is 2015, when like the zombie craze was kind of like in its hay. Yeah, so much smoke. I'm really failing at this. Oh my goodness. The thing that also sucks is it's windy as heck. So yeah, I thought zombies were kind of getting overdone, and I loved like monsters, classic monsters, and I always thought that there's different ways you could approach telling these stories. Oddly enough, one of my favorite zombie movies was Return of the Living Dead, which takes, you know, the zombie story and kind of puts it in like a punk rock kind of vibe. Oh, there we go. There we go. So I started kind of imagining like, okay, well, metal and horror already kind of have like a thing going, right? I mean, Black Sabbath is not just like some spooky thing that scares Christians. It was a Boris Karloff movie. I believe Tony Iommi saw and decided that's what the band was going to be called. So I love horror. So that's what I knew. That wasn't just metal, you know? And around that time, the meme of spooky, scary skeletons was going around, skeleton army stuff, every October, and that was always something that brought me joy. So it's like, you know what? It's time for skeletons to get their time in the spotlight. Now, that, you know, I was in college, and Connor and I would be writing stuff over Zoom. We only wrote one song for Dead Alive, that would become Dead Alive, in 2015. It was Prepare for the Skeleton War. We took a lot of inspiration from bands that we liked at that time, like Havoc, and we, you know, just did that. It was fun. And then I came back that next summer, and, you know, we started, you know, writing some other stuff. And it wasn't until 2017 where I transferred different colleges from the Illinois college I was at to the Tennessee college. I went to Fire. That we really started making headway on making demos. I would go over to Connor's house, and we would use his brother's laptop to record our demos that we put up on SoundCloud at that time. And we wrote basically all of the demos for the first album, including our cover Spooky Scary Skeletons, in 2017, I believe it was. I think it was 2017. Maybe it's 2016. I think it was 2017, though. The only song that wasn't a part of those original demos was Deadites. And yeah, it was so much fun to, you know, just make something. I always struggled with finding something that I could do that I could see through to the end, because I always seem to kind of rely on other people or needing help with things. And when I was trying to do computer programming and that kind of stuff and make games, it's like I knew other people that were in the CS degrees, but no one was ever able to help me with the things that I wanted to do or the things that I was trying to do. And the internet was not quite resourceful enough at that time for the specific things I was needing help with. I just needed to be a better programmer, but I wasn't. But the music was something that's like, I'm making songs even though, you know, I can't shred a guitar solo. I'm still writing songs, and I have something I can show people. Oh my goodness, all this ash. Trying to prevent my lawn from catching on fire. You know, I thought this would be a lot more chill than it's turning out to be. But, you know, you live and you learn. It's a windy day today. We'll let that keep going. So yeah, where was I? I always had hard times, like, completing projects. Like, I've tried to make so many games, even, like, just, like, simple concept stuff. It was just, like, there's always something preventing me from finishing. That summer, Connor and I, we wrote songs, and it was a lot of fun. And, you know, you want to try to take things to its next logical, like, step. And we had this stuff on SoundCloud. We need some solos. But Connor wasn't, like, sold on, you know, wanting to do music as, like a lifestyle. He enjoyed playing, he enjoyed writing, but he didn't go to college. He wanted to do, like, go into the trades. So he was really kind of, like, focused on, you know, trying to take the right steps for his life. So, you know, we finished the demos, and then, you know, we kind of had, like, a little hiatus on continuing the project. And that was stopped for another 3 years until about COVID started. So early 2020, I'm taking a break from college because I can't figure out how to do CS. And COVID started, and I had met these guys on, like, this band mix website or something like that. And they invited me to come hang out with them and jam. And I was like, yeah, let's do it. And I, you know, was just like, oh, this will be fun, just to do something musically, because I hadn't done that in a minute. I was still like playing with that other band, and the other band had a new name and other stuff, and that had its own whatever going on for it. Yeah, I get invited to go jam with these guys. I was invited as a vocalist. I was like, sure, yeah. And we'd be in this hot-ass storage unit for weeks and weeks, and I was reluctant to kind of take leadership on it, just because I was like, I want to just kind of do whatever these guys are wanting to do. And after spending months, and I mean like 6 months, doing nothing essentially except just making noise, and we were having like problems with one of the guys, then it was like, okay, what are we doing here? We keep bullshitting about wanting to play shows and what happens when X, Y, Z happens. Nothing is happening. There's no creative direction, and all we're doing is like complaining about shit, right? So, and at that time, every now and then I'd pick up a guitar and play some of the riffs from those demos from the Rise of the Skeleton Army. And the drummer was always like, dude, that's cool stuff. And he wanted to take it in like a new metal direction, and I was like, that's not the spirit of this. that's not what I want to do to these songs. I was finally like at one point just like, if there's no creative direction right now, I have a project that's practically done. It needs some solos and it just needs to be recorded. Everything is done otherwise, and we can hit the ground running. We can record the songs, we can practice them, and then we can go. And the drummer's like, yeah, let's do that. I think the other guitarist at the time was also down, and I managed to wrangle Connor back in to kind of like I called him because I wanted to see this project to its end with him. Just be like, hey man, let's finish what we started. And so the drummer V was his stage name or character name, because we never played on stage together. He booked the recording studio, and when you're recording, drums always go first. And I had sent videos upon listen to these songs, do some homework to like know what we're doing. It was like a couple months of like homework, then studio, and we had like 3 weekends to do that entire first album. Get to that studio, and the first 3 days of trying to do drums was just a wash. V did not listen to the songs. He did not understand the songs. He was not a thrash metal drummer, and we couldn't use anything that weekend, essentially. And that was very frustrating, because I had put all the time to be like, these are how the song goes, here's the tabs, here's the vibes, here's the homework. And he just didn't do anything about it. So we canceled the next couple weekends of recording so that way I can teach him how to play drums, and I don't know how to play drums. I am a guitar player. I barely know how the beats go, but like I know like the rudiments of 4 on the floor, skank beat kind of stuff, right? But I would not call myself a drummer. But I'm now teaching this guy drums 3 days a week for 3 weeks, just so that way he's ready for recording in the studio, because it was the only time we had to record in the studio was coming up. So we do the drums, and it was exhausting, but they get done as they are on the album. He did a good job for, all things considered. And then I recorded the bass, both rhythm guitars. There's a couple solos on that first album that I did, and did the vocals. The last thing that needed to happen was the solos. And that was the point of contention on the production of that first album for a while. I was leaning on Connor to, come up with solos, but he just wouldn't put in the homework to work on it, because he was busy working and his heart wasn't really in it. And then we get to the recording day for all the guitars, and neither of them practiced or had anything prepared. So it all just, was literally day of guitar solos. And that's the first album. The first album was finished. And I get album art made by this guy named Dan Goldsworthy, who's an amazing artist. And that, oh my God, that artwork was a whole story in itself, because I was trying to find someone that could do like horror art. And again, like the internet was not as, it was getting a little bit better at that time for like finding like artists and stuff, but the art boom really didn't, finding the right person was kind of hard. And I was also kind of like one of those like hire your friends kind of guy. I was looking for people in my circles I knew that were artists, and everyone just kept ghosting me. And I was like, I want to pay you to do art. Please do art. This is the idea. Do it. Do art in your style. I like your style. Do the art. I will pay you. And yeah, just kept getting ghosted. college, work, whatever was, the issue with them. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to reach out to my favorite album artist and see if he even responds. And that's when Dan Goldsworthy responded. And I was like, this is great. I just need to come up with a band name. And that was a journey in itself, was trying to figure out the band name. You would think it would be as easy as just like looking at your horror movies on your wall and then looking at the metal archives to see what already exists out there. But for a minute, I just wanted to go by band name Horror, but I was talked out of that because apparently there's like a group called HO9909 or something like that, and there's like, oh, you'll get confused with them. Kind of wish that would have been like my stick. Would just be Horror, but hindsight, I'm really happy with Dead Alive as the band name, but yeah, I mean, like, I wanted to do Horror, then I was thinking about like tossing around Horror USA and have like a whole interstate like sign, like we were road touring or something like that. Dead Alive is really what stuck out to me, and part of that was kind of a culmination of things. I always thought like logos for metal bands, the best ones have some kind of symmetry going on with them design-wise. 1 or 2 words max, which is why I was obsessed with Horror. And like, yeah, Dead Alive worked, and it was a horror movie, and it was a movie made by Peter Jackson, which kind of brought in a Lord of the Rings kind of like metal name stereotype, and I was just like, this is perfect. It keeps getting better. And Dead Alive is one of my favorite movies. Again, a zombie movie, but yeah. I do like zombie movies. My comment earlier about like them being like overhyped was more of a mid to late 2010s issue, which kind of kickstarted it all. And then yeah, I had my album. I had the first thing I could ever stamp and look at and be like, I made something, and I was so proud of myself that I was able to do that. I released it digitally at that time around 2020. I just started my first job in the music industry, and we had like a little independent label that my boss was like, yeah, you can just distribute it this way, screw like DistroKid and TuneCore and all that kind of stuff. Use our stuff and get to know like the back end of like professional like distribution stuff, and it's all really the same nowadays. Everyone's so homogenous. But it felt special to me, and like I got like on like an Apple like playlist or something like early on. Did some CDs. My parents gave me a little bit of money to invest in the band. It's the only money I got from them for the band. Other than they also helped me get Pull Trailer more recently. But yeah, they invested on those CDs and tapes and vinyl, and just like now I can like sell stuff. And I was really like excited just to have the opportunity to have a little project that I can maybe do in my own time and get better at music, get better at writing, and take it as seriously as I needed it to be. I was in a relationship at that time. I was married, and I was not trying to be like, rock star dude. I just wanted to make music. I wanted to make metal, and I was fully intending on it just being a little internet band. Like, we don't play shows, but here's our fun little thing that we do, and maybe I'll like post memes and stuff. And COVID was really rough on the relationship, and we had some other issues. Probably got married too young, and we ended up divorcing, and I was just like depressed. And that also kind of put the second hiatus on Dead Alive was we released the album, and then immediately I'm like, okay, well, I can't work on this anymore. I have to, you know, be a good husband, finish college, and, you know, try to fix this. That's my responsibility. I failed at that, and then, you know, just depression, just felt so defeated. Then January of 2023, like January 3rd or something like that, I get an email to the Dead Alive email, and it's from this booking agent guy. He's like, hey, we're booking a show at this place called The Cobra, and for this band called Tyrant from Michigan, and we want to know if you guys want to play a show. And I didn't have a band at that point. Like, at that last hiatus, like, I told the other guys, like, hey, you know, I can't do, like, you know, jamming all the time. I need to focus on the other stuff. So Dead Alive musically went on hiatus during that period, and now it's like, okay, well, I don't have a band again. But I said yes. I had graduated college. I, you know, recently divorced, had nothing going on in my life other than the job I was working, which, you know, I liked. But it's like, what else do you do with your time? And so I had 5 months to figure out how to play that first show. So I call in all the favors I could. Called Connor back to be like, hey man, will you come back and, like, you know, play some live shows? Let's take this to the next, like, fulfilled checkbox of that first album is actually playing shows. And it might have been sympathy because he knew what I was going through at that time, but he was in. He was back. And then we got his brother on drums, who was, you know, from that first band that we were all in. I called my buddy, who was the lead singer from that band, and we got the band back together. And I just felt so loved. We put in the work, and we got through that first show. I started another relationship around that time, and life was different. I felt like I had, like, meaning and purpose in doing this. After that first show, I got a second show booked. That I booked myself, and all of a sudden now I'm, like, playing with, like, other people in the scene, and I'm meeting other people, other bands, and it was like there was an explosion, I guess, at that time for Nashville, or even still, of just, like, bands, new bands that are doing cool shit. I was there doing my goofy costume, like, stuff. One show led to a next show. We met, would become our first official bass player, Deadman Walken, and that kid was awesome. He had such cool style, and he was such a delight to be around. And he was into it, which also felt really good. Like, it felt like someone cared about the project and that was something that I never had before, was someone that cared at that level. He practiced. I gave him a old laptop of mine so he could, like, you know, practice the tabs. And then eventually Connor's brother was like, hey, it's been fun, you know, filling in on drums, but I gotta, you know, he has his own stuff he has to do in his own life. He has to kind of like prioritize, and I totally understood that. And then it was around that same time, conveniently, we were asked to do a recording for this album called, this 40th anniversary album for the Misfits, which I was like really excited about because I love the Misfits. And we got selected to do Green Hell, or I guess we selected to do Green Hell. All the other songs were really like taken though. And I needed a drummer, which I guess started the conversation with Connor's brother Cody, like exiting. It's like, okay, well, I've played shows with a couple bands right now. The only band that I know like a really good drummer from was this band called Dystopian. And I messaged the drummer and I was like, hey man, we were in need of a drummer. Can you fill in for this? And he was so down, which was really exciting. So we you know, booked the studio time for that song, we recorded it. It was so much fun, and Brett is such a good drummer. Oh my goodness, when I first saw him drum in Dystopian, it was just, oh, so good. And then shortly afterwards, like, Dystopian had, you know, broken up, and he was like, hey, I don't have a band anymore. And I was like, cool, join my band, please. He's so nice, he was so cool, he was so talented, and he's been an absolute delight to have in the band. And he also just loves doing the music and doing the project and having fun with it. And that honestly is kind of like the real, I think ethos is the word. The ethos of Dead Alive is to have fun while also being authentic. Life and, you know, all the aspects of what it means to be human told through tales of monsters kind of thing. So we record the Green Hell thing. We do a fun little music video for Spooky Scary Skeletons. That had been just like a thing I wanted to do since 2015. Immortals Call of the Winter Moon video was being parodied to all, like, you know, high heaven by all the other, like, metal bands and black metal bands and people just making fun of black metal. And, like, I was like, I want to do that for Spooky Scary Skeletons because, you know, it sounded fun. And, of course, that was, 2015, I was 18, and, like, I wanted to have fun. And it's like, you know, I finally got to, by the end of 2023, basically, I don't know, fulfill all the promises to my 18-year-old self. I finished that project. I played shows. I did some fun videos and stuff. And the wheels were still rolling, which was the other, like, thing. It was like, this isn't stopping. There's no, everyone is enjoying this. I'm making money when we're playing shows, and let's see how long we can keep doing this. That same, like, fall, I get a message from Eric from Bonginator to go and play as New England Death Metal Fun Time Bonanza. He had seen all the work we had been putting into our social media at that time, and he dug our grind, and we had our first, like, out-of-state show at a festival, and that was so fun. Kept playing shows January, February, March, also around that time, end of 2023, we had our first like Dead Alive album writing parties, right? So this is something that we've been doing a couple times now, where we just hang out, spend the night, write music for the next album, watch movies, have a good time. And it was me, Connor, Brett, and Deadman all like just going from our garage to the computer room to like keep writing things. And I already had like a lot of progress done on album 2 already at that time. It was something I was kind of like pecking away at over the years since the first album finished. And I had a lot more life experience at that point to draw from. And yeah, it was so fun. By the beginning of 2024, we had another album ready to be recorded. Recorded in March with Jeremiah Scott from Demon Hunter. Like I got that contact because he went to my church at that time, and yeah, recorded the album with him, and that was such a fun experience. We finished 10 songs in 2 days, and that was a marathon. Connor didn't practice any of the rhythm parts. The only song he was like prepared for was a song that he wrote, which was Exhumed. So I was doing all of the guitar on all the other songs and all the solos, and that, yeah, marathon, 12 hours of playing guitar. My arm was dying, but I did it. I had like cranked my neck as well that morning. So I was doing all of that just like in pain and recording. But new album finished. We got that mastered with like cinematic synths and stuff by another friend of mine named Davey Oberlin. He has a project called All the Damn Vampires. And I really liked the kind of Stranger Things-esque synthwave vibe that he did. And he's a huge horror lover as well. So I knew that I could trust him with like understanding the vibe. Let's get some more. Oh, I should probably not touch that. I'm smart, I swear. Where's that poker? Ah, there it is. Da da da. Let's see how chaotic this gets. Big bucks. All right. Yeah, Davey Oberlin did it. We go to Maine in Brett's truck and pulling our trailer. It was like 17 hours there, 24 hours there, 17 hours back kind of thing. We weren't able to get any other shows like booked at that time to like make like a little tour because I was just having a hard time like getting all that like done. Yeah, successful tour. We kept playing Nashville pretty much monthly in 2024. And yeah, 2024 was like another successful year of just doing shows. We released that album that October, and I made a music video with my partner Ray in our garage, and that was like the first time I was able to like conceptualize visually what I wanted Dead Alive to really look like, and like artistically, I guess would be the thing. So another thing, now that I'm past both albums getting out, oh my goodness, oh, it's so bright, oh, it's so hot, oh no, the grass is on fire. Oh shit. I swear I'm an Eagle Scout. There's that poker. let's put this back on. Yeah. The Reaged music video was like the first time I was able to like conceptually make what I imagine like a Dead Alive album to look like. Very low budget, everything was DIY, we did it in my garage. And so now that we're like, 2 albums in, I'll get to that like after I get to like the timeline part. So right after the Maine, right before we went to Maine, Deadman exited the band. He wanted to marry his girlfriend, and he also was like, he didn't think music was like his life path. Totally understand that, and we needed to find another bassist, or more appropriately, probably another guitarist, because I was still not great at shredding solos, and Connor was okay. He was getting better. We needed someone that could like shred, and there was this guy that I was like, kind of like had my finger on, and I met him at a show early 20. He was at that second Dead Alive show in 2023. And I had like met him at some other like shows, and he was like this nice, cool guy. And he was at college for guitar. So he was like the real deal when it came to like someone that knew guitar like as an instrument. Man, it's so hot. And I kept asking him if he'd be interested, and he's like, oh yeah, I'd be interested. That's stuck, okay. Just gonna, let's do that. Do that. Do that. That won't be a problem. So yeah, this is where Jared comes into the story. He was at the second Dead Alive show, kept running into him at other shows, and every time I was like, would you be interested in like, maybe playing with us and shredding? But he wanted to finish college first, and I totally understand that. So I waited for him to be ready, and then asked him if he would want to audition again, and finally got him an audition. And he was good. He was really good. I forget how long I gave him for like the audition process between when I gave him the music to his audition. But yeah, it was a done deal. He played, and I was like, this is the guy. This is the guy for Dead Alive. He's been so good. He was able to do not just the solos on like album 2 that like I played. He plays them better than me because I had to take the shortcuts on some of those songs. Damn it. Fuck. Let's do that. Yeah, I had, again, I'm not a great shred guitarist. I mean, I'm playing the bass now. But Jared could shred. Jared was so good. He is still, like, amazing. It's like, okay, now we have, like, someone that can actually shred guitar. I moved down to bass, and then we, kept rocking and rolling, more shows. We played a couple more shows out of state, or out of Nashville. Knoxville, Chattanooga, and it was like a successful year. Originally my goal was to play at least one show per month in 2024, and we did 18 shows that year, which was fantastic. It was awesome. And it was around that time after like we finished our last show of the year in 2024, which was like November 11th. It was even before that. It was like I started in August planning what would be our first like tour. I knew I'd have to get all the booking done myself. But the main goal for that tour would be to go down to Texas, because one of my longest friends I've ever had that I've known since elementary school, he lives down in Texas, and he's the guy that got me into metal, like, in the first place. And he's been like a brother to me, and he's been like seeing like all the stuff I've been doing with Dead Alive from afar, and he's just been so like supportive of like all of that. It's been so exciting for him to like watch me like do all of this. And yeah, I started like booking the tour. You can watch the tour vlog for like more details on that. And then 2025, we play some shows in Atlanta with these cool guys in this band called Fatal Attraction. And we go on tour like in May. It was, yeah, another like resume thing on the whole band stuff that was successful. Like, I did it all myself, and I made money at the end of it, which is wild for some people. In like music, you know, bands typically lose money on these things, but I had found out some way to make money. Yeah. And to me, I think a big part of that was just the entertainment value that Dead Alive has. Outside of like, I would like to think at least the music's good, right? But there's definitely like an added like, this is exciting part with like the theatrics. And yeah, 2025, we play our biggest show at the end of this year with a huge thanks to Nashville homies Omenbringer. They put together that show, and we did our part in trying to market it and try to like, you know, tell people about the show. It's like 300 people. It was awesome. It was such a good show. Yeah, so that's like the timeline of everything. Now it's time for the reflection, I guess, on it. Is we're still chugging along. We're still doing Dead Alive stuff. We're working on album 3 now, and so that's very exciting. In February of this year, Connor Man-Thing stepped down because he was, you know, like, it's been a good run for him. He's been enjoying it, to be a part of it. And, you know, now he wants to focus on his life goals, and he doesn't think, you know, music was his thing. I greatly appreciate him being a bro and being a part of it, being a part of the story. For the tour, we ended up getting a new guitarist, which is Brady from the local band Phantom. And starting that out, we were like, why don't you just become like the Phantom from Phantom, kind of like a Phantom of the Opera kind of thing. And that was fun for a bit. Now we're going in a different direction, like officially with this character. But yeah, I have like such good guys in my band, and I've always had good guys in my band. And there's been no drama. It's been so nice. This has been like the favorite thing that I've ever done with my life. I have a lot of fond memories of doing Boy Scouts. I have fond memories of school. This makes me feel alive. Doing the band, writing music, and entertaining people makes me feel alive. Dead alive. That's another kind of thing about the band name is kind of like a, I don't know, overthinky kind of, I feel alive, I feel dead otherwise. There's some like religious kind of ideas into it, or like other metal culture things, and it's like maybe I'm just like overthinking that stuff and finding connections where they don't really belong, but I feel alive. I feel alive right now doing Dead Alive. So yeah, reflection. I have some of like the best guys in my band, both like just personality-wise and like musically. They're so good at what they do, and man, I'm so glad they're like in my thing. Dang fire! You can't stay firing for more than like 30 seconds at a time. Dangle fire. Let's get this back on it preemptively. Yeah. Yeah, best guys in the band. If I were going to look at my journey through all this and kind of do things differently, which I'm going to say this like up front, everything that I've gone through has made Dead Alive what it is today. And I would be a different person if I hadn't gone through the things that I went through. But if I was going to give someone like their own advice, if you were going to start a band, I'd be like, depending on what age you're like conceptualizing your stuff, when you're in high school, come up with ideas, start writing stuff, demos, find friends that are committed as well to doing the band stuff. Then when you turn 18, give yourself 4 years before going to college, if college is something you want to do. Hit the ground with, you're working to make money, to pay for equipment, to do the band thing, and you just do it. That first year of playing live shows, shoot for 5 shows that first year. Book some of them yourself as well. Second year, play once a month in your local city, and maybe try to hit out like a surrounding city. And then keep scaling it up. Start pulling back down from playing locally to maybe once a quarter, but still try to do at least once a month other cities. And then scale it up again to, you're still doing once a quarter in your hometown, but now you're playing 2 to 4 shows a month, doing like little weekenders. You can do like an extended like tour like I did, then shoot for that and really try to be on the social media game. That's something I've been kind of slacking on. So another thing conceptually I had a hard time with Dead Alive is the artistic element of how I want to present Dead Alive versus the amount of effort it takes to achieve that for a thing like TikTok. Now, it's not just the face paint. It's the face paint, the lights, the camera, getting someone to do the camera work, getting the script together, doing the effects, taking all the amount of effort that I need to be putting in to making good video content for the concept of Dead Alive is really high. And I want to get there. I'm working on trying to get to that. But right now, I'm kind of focused on the content is, here's some really sick clips from our shows, and we're wearing cool costumes. I definitely think that something that has given us an edge as far as interest has been the costumes, at least in like a social media and a live performance kind of thing. The costumes, I think, honestly just show that you're putting in effort. Honestly, that's all that it is to me, is, hey, we're putting in effort to do something. And that, I never really had the confidence in my own playing abilities and maybe even writing to be like, I'm not the best guitar player. I'm not even the best bass player now that I'm on bass. There's some stuff I'm really good at on all that. And I'm getting better at like writing songs, but yeah, because there's like so many talented people, like even like in my own local scene, it's like, man, I feel like so inferior when it comes to like musical talent. But like, I know how to entertain people. I think that's something I know is something I'm very comfortable with, is being a character, being someone that's not me. And that comes from theater. That comes from a love of movies, a love of acting, and like the desire to be the villain kind of jam. So I think that has been a big thing on our edge. And I've been told this by a handful of people, is that I have a really good eye for branding. And I will say that merchandise is so important as well when you are doing, especially metal. Patches, shirts, so important. CDs, vinyl, cassette tapes, also so important. And that's more on the music aspect of what you're trying to sell. You want to be able to sell your music, because I mean that's the art that you're making, right? But as far as like, you know, you're also a small business. A lot of people, it's easier for them to buy shirts or buy patches because not everyone has a CD player in their car anymore. Not everyone listens to vinyl or even collects them. It's a lot stronger, I feel like, in the metal side of the industry, which I think that also plays to an advantage that we have. Putting in effort to look like you are a fucking rock star, I think is important. And some people can do the street clothes thing really well. I really enjoy theatrics. My favorite bands are all very like theatrical. There's a local band from 30 plus years ago that I want to make a video about. That's my favorite band. They have 0 monthly listeners, but they have made some of my favorite music that I've ever heard, and I'm obsessed. And it all started with me finding an image of them with their costumes and then digging into all that. And that's something I think that we might have as well, is the intrigue of the costumes brings into another layer. It's like, okay, then how does that play into the stage show? I am this skeleton narrating you stories that are metal, that are about monsters or a monster. And then you listen to the music, and then it's like, okay, what is the story? This is a story about skeletons coming up from the dead, raised by the power of heavy metal to rip and tear through the living. Or like a story about this mad scientist who is obsessed with his creation and his altruistic purpose, but then he fails. And what happens to him to me, and how I like wrote it out, is the journey that the doctor takes kind of mirrors elements of the creature story from Frankenstein, which is what kind of Hollow Man is about. It's so like nice when someone gets it artistically. We have a Discord server, a Dead Alive like fan club Discord server. Anyone can join it. We hang out, we chat, we talk about everything: metal, music, movies, food, cats, dogs, just like, you know, a little community of people to chit chat and stuff. But we also have like these channels for like, it's like a Patreon. We have our own like subscription fan club thing on our website where you can like support us right now. All my website costs are being supported by the Skeleton Army, which is great. But yeah, if you want to join that, you can also get like access to these locked channels on our Discord, which have like a bunch of videos that aren't on our YouTube anymore, secret demos, and other fun Dead Alive stuff. So if you're like really into Dead Alive or want to know more or just want to interact with us, we hang out there on the Discord, playing games and, you know, shooting the shit, come hang out. I try to do those like once a month. Some months have been busy and have been able to like really follow through on those monthly hangouts. But that's the general goal, is having like one day a month where I try to like coordinate as many people that want to hang out, and we chill and we play games. But yeah, it's really fulfilling when there's someone that gets it. And I think that's kind of something that all artists want, is they want someone to understand the art, because the art is an extension of yourself, and communication is hard, and sometimes it's hard to be vulnerable to say all of the words that you want to say. But if you can mask that in obscured layers of analogies and metaphors, if you get that one person that can see that and feel that and understand that's like you're connecting with them, because then they see seen, but then you as the artist also feel understood, right? That in like I've had that a couple of times, and every single time it's just so precious to know that I've been able to make an impact on people, even at the small scale that we're still at. What else do I want to say? That's pretty much the reflection, I guess. If you have other questions, come out into the Discord, ask questions. If you want to interview Count Scapula in full face paint and in character for whatever podcasts or whatnot, hit us up. We got an email, deadalivenashville@gmail.com. It's been a year. 2025 has really kicked my ass in multiple ways. It's been very, very exciting for like Dead Alive stuff. It's also been really hard for, you know, me personally. It's been hard, I feel like, for a lot of people personally. I'm starting to feel the friction of like the local band chokehold of how do you get to that next spot, that next stage. I have an opportunity to maybe expedite that coming up. We recently got approved to play at the Walk-In Battle of the Bands. That's really exciting. I am excited just to be a part of it. I hope that we can maybe get out to California. It'd be amazing if we can get out to Germany and play actual Walk-In. But, you know, I think that's another thing is like, you know, everyone's like, oh, when we get signed to a label, when all these other stuff, it's like, you know, yeah, those fantasies are great. But, you know, what happens when you don't? You got to figure out, you know, what your plan is for if you're doing this yourself forever. And that's something else I've been kind of thinking about. It's like, okay, what am I doing with my life? And I think this is about it. This is what I'm doing with my life. Doing the band, I'm trying to work music business, and I want to try to grow Nashville as much as I can in ways that aren't just Dead Alive plays a show in Nashville. I want to start my own label. I've been having a hard time getting that off the ground, but I would love to do that. I would like to maybe open up a venue someday, because Lord knows Nashville needs more venues, but like, I don't know, a dedicated spot. Dedicated like Nashville metal spot. Nashville's all country. I'm gonna start doing some more YouTube videos next year. That's gonna be coming from the Count Scapula account. That will not necessarily be Count Scapula in face paint. There'll be me, the person known as Count Scapula amongst the Nashville metal scene. And I have some things, video ideas I want to do just to kind of like, I don't know, scream loud into the void to see if people can hear me. Try to tie that back into Dead Alive. I'm gonna try to play more shows, try and do weekenders as much as I can next year. I want to try to do, yeah, as many weekenders as I can next year to just keep grinding. Working on the new album that's coming along, pretty cool. We're trying interesting things with this next album. The next album, I think I'm also gonna hold for a minute, just kind of shoot my shot at like labels. Can't find a label by 2027 on it, then it's just gonna come out, you know? Yeah. I wanna make Dead Alive like the band from Nashville. Right, like, and I want Nashville to not be fucking country music city. I want it to be music city. We have so many good artists out here that play anything other than country music. And it's just like, you just gotta go off Broadway, man. You gotta go off Broadway, and you have to like go to a bar or a venue and look at their fucking wall and look for the edgy looking logos, and it's like, that's where the metal people are. I didn't know Nashville had a metal scene for years until I started a band. And apparently it had just been at bars where I couldn't go to because I was a fucking teenager. And social media wasn't really something I was like invested into. But now, you know, I'm doing stuff. I'm gonna try to take Dead Alive as far as I can, and I'm gonna keep doing it. Thank you for listening to me ramble for 2 hours, and yeah, thank you for watching me flail around with fire, and thank you for, you know, supporting Dead Alive by watching this video, by listening to our music, coming out to our shows. 2025 has been a bitch of a year, and yeah, rest in peace 2025. Here's to 2026. Hope to see you for many more years. Got some cool ideas for some videos that aren't necessarily Dead Alive related. So, yeah, follow Dead Alive. Follow the new Count Scapula channel. You can do that both on social medias and stuff. Gotta watch this fire. My inner Eagle Scout won't let me leave this fire going. What else can I chit-chat about? We got, we're getting some fill-ins, so you might see some new monsters on stage with people, you know, needing to pay bills and all that. I want to try to keep the Dead Alive train going. Shit! I'm gonna melt the bottom of my shoes. With me wanting to keep the Dead Alive train going, where's that fucking thing? Like the other guys, they have jobs, they have other bands that they're in, and I don't want to have to be like, oh, King Diamond's coming to Nashville, and you can't play the show because of college or other jobs or opportunities that the other guys have. And it's like, well, shit. How do I not have that happen? Well, a lot of people have fill-in musicians, and so that's something I'm working on. We're gonna have more monsters for the Dead Alive cast, and yeah, I'm trying to, you know, keep expanding Dead Alive. We got some more pyro. We got some cool stuff, new costumes. We're fine-tuning this gig, and I hope it's something that can last a long time. I need to start doing some exercises, stretches, yoga. Yeah. If you're trying to start a band, start when you're, you know, when you want to start, when you have the idea. Make friends, maybe friends that like want to play music, and maybe, you know, the ideas will start to form together. You can have something collectively that y'all want to like do. But if it's like if it's just like this is your idea and you're having to lead it, well, one, I would also recommend taking leadership experience where you can get it. Boy Scouts was a great experience for me to get a lot of leadership, being like patrol leaders and senior patrol leaders and like all that. Be organized, and yeah, when it's like I would recommend, if you can, not go to college for 4 years and try to hit the ground running with the whole band thing, and put as much energy as you can into making it work. Do that. Work your ass off to make money, to pay for your equipment, pay your photographers, pay your videographers, pay professionals to make you look good. That's a big thing. Pay artists. Don't use generative AI. ChatGPT seems all fine and dandy and can help you with an Excel sheet or a fucking website thing. Stop using it for art. Stop using it for music. Because there's no point in all the energy that it wastes. The stuff that it does make sucks. I like creating things. And I think that's what a lot of the art world is just a bunch of people that want to create something. And I feel like that's a big thing about humans, is there's something about creating that drives us. Yeah. Be good people. Be human. Peace, love, rock and roll, man. What is metal other than hippies that like loud music, honestly? And I'll probably make a video about topics like that, metal culture topics. Tomorrow is a new day. Tomorrow's a new year. Keep pushing, keep creating, stay alive.